Welcome to the Rollga Podcast, featuring the one, the only, Cheri Bates. This is episode 001.
That's awesome.
Cheri Bates, 5-time Ironman. It's going to be a really fun episode to listen to her speak her mind. She has some insights, some stories. We're excited to jump in, so let's get into the conversation.
Let's go.
All right, Cheri Bates, we are live. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, how's it going?
It's good.
Good.
So why don't we give a quick introduction of who you are and why you got into the sport of triathlon?
All right. Well, like Dane said, I'm Cheri Bates. I am originally from Sauk Rapids, Minnesota, which is centrally located in Minnesota. Why I got into triathlon. Specifically why I got into triathlon is I joined a gym locally, and I had this friend of mine that we took the classes, the group fitness classes together. And I wanted her to desperately run a 5K with me. And she said, you know what, I will run this 5K with you if you will do a triathlon with me. And I looked at her and I said, what's a triathlon? I had no idea. This was back in 2008, late 2008, I would guess. And so she told me it was you first you swim and then you bike and then you run. And I was like, well, I can run, but I have never swam in my life and I didn't even own a bike. So we decided to sign up for a sprint triathlon in the summer of 2009. And we trained from January until July, bought a bike, took some master swim classes. And honestly, the rest is history. That is the nitty gritty as to how I actually got into triathlon. That's it.
Love it. So you have the three disciplines. You have the swim, the bike, and the run. Which of the three are your favorite?
Bike.
Why is that?
You know, like I said, I hadn't even owned a bike until probably January of 2009. And I got a nice road bike, a Cheris actually. And it's funny in life when you figure out later in life things that you're actually kind of good at. And for some reason, I am by no means a great athlete. I'm not, you know, I am an athlete. I aspire to be an athlete, but I'm honestly about a mediocre athlete. For some odd reason, I can bike. And I just figured that out later in life. And I think that we obviously intend to enjoy the things that we're better at. I love time trial biking. It's what fuels me to do the triathlon. Honestly, Dane, the swim for me is a warm up. I take that easy. I always take it easy. I'm always very relaxed about that, you know, letting it warm my body up for the bike. And then when I'm on that bike, no matter what, if I'm doing a sprint, an Olympic, half Ironman or Ironman, any length, I'm taking that bike as hard as I can, no matter how long the bike is. And then when I get off that bike, as many triathletes know, then that just kind of gets you pumped and ready for that run, which is probably my second overall sport that I'm good at. Swimming, I'm a terrible swimmer. So that's the bike for sure.
Love it. So when you bike, you have a couple sayings. You have on your left, and I've heard you, well, at least you said on your left to me, which means you're passing me, which is humbling. We also have the Pacman. I remember you speaking to this a couple times. Why don't you walk me through what the Pacman is?
Well, this is what I tell people who are just getting into triathlon. They don't really know exactly how to take on that time trial bike with a bunch of people. They feel a little bit inadequate. They feel like, oh, you know, should I even be, out here? And the mentality that I personally take on and that I tell people to kind of build and instill in them is when you're on that road and you're on that shoulder, you see that person in front of you, you're going to Pacman them up, which means that is your focus. Your focus in that portion of the race is actually catching up to that person, passing them, and in essence, Pacmaning them, taking them and put them in your rearview mirror. So that's how I take on every single race as well. I Pacman them up, just one right after the other. And after that one's gone, I look and see who's in front of me. Usually it's the guy in red or, oh, there's girl with blue helmet, or there's that guy with that fluorescent bike. Like I name them, I Pacman them up, and I keep going. So that's what that is.
So I did the Clearwater time trial loop with you this year, and I thought I was cruising. I can't remember if you actually passed me, but I did get past that day, and I was going 23 miles an hour, which says something to the athletes in St. Cloud, because we got some bangers, some people that are really fast on the bike.
It is astonishing to me, the athletes that we have in central Minnesota. Anywhere from new and upcoming athletes who are young. I don't even know if naming names even is a big deal, but we've got Elisa Canisi, who's just an incredible athlete who is just putting her time in on those time trials that Dane's talking about. We have established athletes like Andy Zabel, who is an amazing, speedy guy who has just taken over the circuits, taken over the races. And then we have people like the Stevens, Daryl and Pam Steven, who are on their way, maybe to retirement a little bit more from the sport. But I mean, Daryl's going to be 80 years old this year, and he has signed up for the duathlon, the Apple Duathlon, which takes place in central Minnesota, which is a nationwide known duathlon. So, I mean, not only do we have these stellar athletes, we have them in every single age bracket. Every single Amy Woolsey, there's another one. Every age bracket, we've got these amazing athletes. Not only do we have that, but we also have these incredible races, which you wouldn't think would be around in central Minnesota. You kind of think of those southern states with these big races. And come summertime, spring, summer, and maybe even a little bit into fall, we've got these incredible venues that just bring out the athletes in all of us. So we're really lucky here in central Minnesota.
So let's walk through a little bit about central Minnesota racing. You have some race plans this year.
Oh yeah. Locally,
but you also have some Ironmans that you're thinking about. So why don't you walk me through the races you're going to be doing locally?
Absolutely. So as far as multi-sport goes, some of the races that I've got on my radar this year and that I've signed up for is, first of all, I already mentioned the Apple Duathlon. That takes place in Sartell, Minnesota. It is a 5K run, a 40K bike, and then another 5K run, which anyone listening to this is going to roll their eyes because they know that race is one that is just my nemesis. It is one that I sign up for year after year, but I always dread. And I think we all know the reason. If you've done the Apple, you know that it is an amazing venue. It is run so smoothly and so beautifully. The thing is, it's an incredibly hard course, and it will steal your soul, especially on that second run. So, but I do take that one on in all different ways. I have relayed that one, which has been nothing but fun because then I get to do what I love, which is, like I said in the beginning, the time trial bike. All I have to do is go as fast as I can for about 22 miles, and I am as happy as I can be. This year I'm going to do the full by myself, do the run, bike, run, and see what I can do, bring out individually. So that one will be a good one. The other ones that I'm signed up for are in the Granite Man series, the triathlons that they have locally. They do have one in Buffalo. It's a little early in the season for me. I'm a big baby when it comes to cold water, so I kind of try to steer clear of that one. But I am signed up for Clearwater, Granite Man Clearwater, and also Granite Man Big Lake. I believe Clearwater is at the end of June. Granite Man Big Lake, I believe, is in early August, mid-August, something like that.
Yeah, for sure, late season race.
Yeah. So I'm doing the Olympic on both of those, which I've never done the Olympic in Clearwater. I've always done the sprint, so that should be a fun day. I think I have done the Olympic in Big Lake, and both. You guys, if you are looking for local triathlons, those are your go-tos. 100%. Take it from me. They're great venues, well run. Energy is high, so I'm really, really looking forward to those. Another one, you guys, that I'm doing is Earth Day. We didn't, that is not a multi-sport race. That is a half marathon, or the night before they have a 5K. You can do it as a relay, so you can do a 10K and a 10K. That one I will be pacing, which is something else I do. So I'll be pacing that half Ironman locally. I'm sorry, half marathon locally. So
love it. So are you going to do the back-to-back? We're going to do the 5K the night of and then jump into the half marathon in the morning?
No. Thanks for asking.
Oh.
No. I mean, not at this point. No, I that one I really like to focus on the pacing aspect, the giving back. I think it's so important for us to give back in our sport, and I see that as a really unique opportunity to talk to new athletes, talk to people who are anxious, talk to people who are doing their first half marathon and they're scared to death and they don't know what's coming at them, and I can put them at ease, and it's really something that I love to do. Plus it gives me that nice, for those of us training, it gives us a nice low heart rate run that we maybe necessarily wouldn't do on our own. So it's just it's a win-win all around. So yeah, that one is mostly concentrating on volunteering and giving back to the community. So
love it. So we shout out to Rollga because as being a founding sponsor of the Granite Series, which is now the Earth Day run rolls up to that.
Yes.
Got some free race entries to give away. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Now, obviously I can go on and on about stuff, but I could go on and on and on about Rollga, the company, the family, the man who invented Rollga, as being probably the most generous people that I have ever come across. Incredibly open to new ideas. That type of generosity is very rare to find, but also the generosity of giving back to the community, of giving back to the athletes who use their product, saying, hey, try this out. Hey, take a look at this. Do this race. Being able to give away those race entries for people is just, it's huge, especially for our new athletes coming up and coming.
For sure. So Cheri, we talked a little bit about your short courses.
Yes.
Olympic distance. I mean, when I get out of an Olympic distance swim, I'm like, this feels pretty long, but you're doing some long distance stuff, some Ironman distance. Why don't you walk me through the Ironman races you have prepped for this year?
Well, I have, I'm right in the middle as of right now of contemplating a goal, and now I'm putting it out there in the world. But my goal for 2023 is to do 2 Ironmans in one season. And I know for some people that's kind of a given and pretty easy, but for me that's a pretty big goal. I thought about doing that when it came to 2020 when COVID hit and all these races were being canceled. I've always been on a every other year Ironman schedule. And when COVID came, it kind of took that and threw it out the window. So I figured, okay, well, I'm going to establish a goal of doing 2 Ironmans in 1 year. This year, actually just last night, I signed up for Ironman Canada. It's in Penticton in British Columbia this year, which is straight north of Seattle, straight north of Whistler. Beautiful, beautiful country. I did do Ironman Canada in Whistler in 2013, and it was my PR. And I can't say enough of that area. I can't say enough about that venue. It's the oldest Ironman in North America. So I think that's kind of neat, like the very first Ironman that was established in North America. So I will be doing that one. That one is August 28th. And then I am still kind of going back and forth a little bit on which race will be my second. 2 weeks later is Ironman Wisconsin, which takes place in Madison. And I've done that one 3 times already. But it's really nice because it's kind of our local Ironman here in the Midwest. Very easy to think about because I've done it and I know what's coming at me. I know how difficult that course is. It's extremely energy filled, and I love that about an Ironman. My other option is Ironman Cozumel, which I know is completely opposite than Madison. But there's a big group of us in our local triathlon club called Do Try that are going out there. I think about 8 of us that are going to be doing that race. And that really appeals to me, that social aspect of it. Also the tropical weather is kind of nice, but so that one I'm still kind of contemplating, but for sure doing Ironman Canada at the end of August.
So how would you prepare for the Saltwater Swim, which is potentially no wetsuit,
Yes.
in Mexico versus Madison, where it's, it's choppy of water. So it's similar in water, but it's going to be something we got to go off with on a wetsuit on.
Right. I have only actually done one half Ironman in my career that has been non-wetsuit legal. And it was told to us the morning of, because obviously the water temp was so high. And I did not realize how much time that added, taking that wetsuit off and doing that distance swim without a wetsuit. Boy, there's a lot that goes into that question. If you are at all anxious about the swim, which I know a lot of triathletes are, even seasoned triathletes can have a lot of potential anxiety attack issues coming on with swims, it can really deter you from an Ironman like Ironman Cozumel, where it is always, you can never wear a wetsuit. They just don't ever allow it. And what I've been told, and I've really investigated about this swim, is that the buoyancy of the salt water really takes over for that lack of wetsuit. And there's a current too, which you swim with the current. You swim out about 500 yards against the current, and it's a point-to-point swim. So then you are able to ride that current and that salt water with buoyancy from there on out. So I guess getting ready for it, I'll keep my wetsuit on in those in those open water swims. I'll just put my time in, get my swim down. Like I said, I take that very relaxed, the swim, and hope for the best if I go to Cozumel and don't wear that wetsuit and have that nice, beautiful, warm saltwater swim. So
let's unpack the warmness in triathlon.
Okay.
Cozumel,
yes.
Super warm, 80 degrees, probably expected. Windy too. I mean, it seems like they're all windy on the bike, especially. It's always headwind, no matter what.
Yes.
At least that's how I feel.
Yep.
But we know heat plays a huge role in how you race and how you perform. I did Des Moines this last year. No wetsuit allowed.
Yeah.
Water was way too warm. Ugh. It was so hot. There's no shade on the course. I contemplated, why do I enjoy triathlon when I'm doing this thing? So walk me through maybe your most warm experience in triathlon, or just in general, how weather plays an impact in racing.
Well, definitely my warmest race has been the half Ironman in Chisago City, Chisago Lakes half Ironman. That's a local. I mean, I should call it a long distance because it is not Ironman sanctioned. So it's a long course, which that particular race is the warmest I've ever run in. It takes place at the end of July, which obviously makes sense. It's a non-shaded run course, which really brings on the heat. To be honest, I'm probably the worst person to ask about heat because I love it. I have no problem with racing in the heat. When you give me cold water, I'm out. I'm a big, boy, I'm a baby when it comes to the cold. I do not like to be cold in any way, shape, or form. I would rather be just sweating and hot. Now, does that affect your ability to take on that race at a faster pace? Absolutely. But it's never really bothered me. I also train in heat. So one of my favorite things to do is hop on a trainer and in a small room and turn the heat up to at least 85, 90 degrees and just sweat for 3 hours. That's one of my favorite workouts to do. So, I guess maybe those two things go together. The fact that I love to train in the heat and the fact that I don't mind a hot race kind of go together. So for people out there that are thinking or contemplating about doing a hotter temperature Ironman or something in a different climate like that we're not used to, it's very important, I think, to at least practice or see how you're doing with that, even if you have to take a whole season before. You know what I mean? Like, take a hot summer in Minnesota, go out for a run when it's 90, 95, even upwards to 100 degrees, see how your body does, see how you do it. Are you going to like it? No, it's horrible. But were you able to tolerate it? Yes. So those are two totally different things. You're never going to be comfortable in an Ironman race an Ironman run. You're never going to be comfortable in an Ironman bike, but can you tolerate it? Yes, and that's what I think people miss, is they try to be comfortable all the time, and either way, you're not going to be comfortable, cold or hot. So tolerable.
Love it. So let's switch gears a little bit. You just finished a long race. You just finished a long training session. By long, 2+ hours. You're sweating. You're exhausted.
Yeah.
What do you do first?
Shower. I'm a food fantasizer. So during those workouts, I am absolutely thinking, what am I going to eat after my shower? What am I going to make? What am I going to, I shower, I get all cleaned up, feel fresh. And then I get something in my stomach right away. That's basically my go-to. I sleep a lot. I mean, this is a completely different subject, which would be a completely podcast in itself, but I really do feel that sleeping is so vital. I get, no joke, 8 to 10 hours a night. If I am unable to get the 8 hours, I take a nap to make up for the at least 8 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period, especially when I'm training. So important.
Love it. So we covered what it's like to give back to the community a little bit. So switching gears a little bit more.
Yep.
We talked about pacing, but what's that message that you would give to someone that's either new to the sport or contemplative if this is a life direction? Because when you get into triathlon, it's very much a life-changing
for sure
hobby that you get into. And I shouldn't say hobby, it turns into a lifestyle almost.
Yeah, it does.
So walk me through what's your advice you'd give to someone that's either getting new into triathlon or someone that could just use a little bit of pep talk, just some advice.
Wow. There are so many people that will come at you with advice. That's the one thing, I think it's important to find someone in the community that you connect with, that you look at what they've done with their career as an athlete, as a triathlete, as a duathlete, and see where their successes are. And if that's where your successes want to be, then that's the person you should be taking your advice from. Meaning if you've decided, okay, I've got this goal, I want to do a sprint triathlon. It's important to seek people out in the community, maybe go volunteer at a sprint triathlon, even to spectate the sport of choice that you're wanting to get into, I think is step number one. Go out there, spectate the race, introduce yourself, be outgoing to people who are racing, because this community is just so warm and so welcoming. And we always want to see new athletes come into the sport. So asking them questions, seeing where they're at in their career of triathlon, whether they're new or they're experienced, that's important. Volunteering for a race maybe is the second step, and then actually getting into some clubs like the Do Tri Club, meeting people that way. And I guess that would be my best advice as a jump off point.
Love it. So you're that new person, you got a little bit of advice now, you went through a whole season of training. Now you're getting into your first race. How would you explain to someone what your morning race ritual is? What do you do from start to finish? You arrive, what do you do?
Oh, well, you're going to be anxious. There's no other way about it. You may not get good sleep the night before. One thing that I tell people is you most definitely want to sleep the night before your race. So if your race, for example, is on a Saturday morning, that Thursday night sleep is your most important sleep, because come Friday, you're going to be a little bit anxious about the morning, especially if it's one of your first triathlons. It's important to set everything out. It's important to eat your normal breakfast. Don't try anything new. Don't think, okay, well, this athlete said I should have a banana and oatmeal. And then you get into that swim and it upsets your stomach. Something that doesn't upset your stomach, something that's just normal. Absolutely have your Rollga with you no matter what. That is something that I think is so vital, because it really, that massage that you can't get from anything else, or that loosening of that muscle fascia, just it really helps. Like think about race morning, getting a 10-minute massage before your race. I mean, what could be more relaxing? So I always have that with me. But I think one of the number one thing that I can tell new athletes going into a venue for a triathlon, do not feel, I can't think of the word offhand, but intimidated. There it is. Do not feel intimidated. That is going to be your first thing. You're going to open that car door. You're going to hear the music. You're going to see the crowd. You're going to see these amazing athletes with their stellar bikes and all their equipment and all their, faces that are so serious. Don't let that intimidate you. You have earned the right to be there. You are an athlete, and you walk in there with pride, knowing that you're going to take something on that you haven't taken on before, and you've been brave enough to show up and get it done. So you deserve to be there as much as those elite athletes that are going to be there, or maybe even those professional athletes that are going to be there. So that's number one.
Love it. So deep question here. You've been racing for a couple of years now, and you're going to be racing into your future.
Yes.
This is Cheri Bates' life.
Yes.
What's that message you want to tell yourself in 2 years from now?
Wow. 2 years from now, I want to, I just turned 50 years old in December. So 2 years from now, I'll be 52 years old, right in the middle of an age category. And I know that I think it's important for aging athletes to understand that, as plain and simple as I can put it, there are age categories for a reason. I think it's important to be graceful with yourself as you age, so maybe something I could do 2 years ago, I'm not able to pull off today. And then in 2 years from now, I won't be able to pull off what I'm able to pull off today, as far as times, as far as quickness, as far as recovery, those type of things. So I think it's very, very important to be graceful for ourselves. The sport is graceful to us. Does that make sense? The sport of endurance athletics, the sport of triathlon, the sport of duathlon, any of those race results that you look at will always have age categories. They're being graceful to us. And so it's important to look at that and go, you know what, those are there for a reason. We need to be graceful to ourselves and say, as we age, if we just keep moving, keep healthy, keep that movement in our lives, get that, what I call quote unquote, my drug of choice, that endurance high, that social high, that's what matters, not your times, not how quickly you can execute something compared to 2 years ago or 2 years from now. So
love it. But even being an age group athlete, you're still going to come after them, right?
Oh God, yes.
I see this picture of you here, and if you weren't wearing a race kit here, I'd be pretty scared of with Cheri Bates coming.
Here I come. Yeah. Oh, I give it everything I've got. Every race. One of the things that I actually talk about when I pace is I tell the athletes, for example, if it's a half marathon I'm pacing, we get to mile 12 and a half, and all I tell those athletes, even new athletes, is today is race day. This is not a training day. And I don't care if you've come into this race going, well, I'm just training for this race coming up, or I'm just going to use this half marathon as a training for my marathon. It's race day no matter what. It's race day no matter what. And you take that finish on like you are the most professional athlete there is. I think another funny thing that comes up in the race community is these not that race picture that you showed me, but like race pictures in general, like Ironman race pictures, or etiquette of racing. And I believe 1,000% in etiquette of racing until I get to that finish line. And if I see that finish line and you're kind of jogging in, trying to get your finish picture, I will take you on every single time, because it is race day. So yeah, don't ever count me out as far as a competitor. I am a strict competitor when it comes to racing, but I also have so much fun out on that course, talking to other athletes, cheering on other athletes, and using proper etiquette. I mean, it's all good, but I will take you on at the finish line. Don't get me wrong. I will ruin your finish picture.
All right, Cheri Bates. So let's close this out with some rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Best wings sauce?
Buffalo.
Dark or chocolate milk?
Chocolate.
Favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
Favorite movie quote?
life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Favorite, or let's do it this way. What's your favorite movie?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
What was your dream job as a kid?
Archaeologist.
Do you have any pets?
Not anymore.
Best piece of advice you've received?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've received so much. One day at a time.
Best flavor of ice cream?
Strawberry.
Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
Favorite article of clothing in your closet right now?
My pink corduroy bell-bottom jeans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're hot.
All right, Cheri Bates, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you, Dane. Thank you, Rollga. Guys, go out and get your Rollga. I'm not kidding. You will not regret it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
Love it.